I put this build together, my gear is all the same, the skills are all the same, but I don't see the same numbers as in the video. How come? This is one of the most common questions that I get about builds. How do you get the damage numbers like that? What's the secret? I'm going to share all of those secrets with you in this video, and you'll be very surprised at just how simple the solution is. Oh yeah, I completely forgot, we're still fighting this guy. If this is what your boss fights look like on Torment 4, I'm going to share with you these 3 simple steps that are going to take your boss fights from looking like this right here to this. We're going to be talking about tempering, enchanting, and masterworking. We're going to go over all of the ins and outs and everything that you're going to need to know to get your character set up to do some massive numbers. Now, it sounds very simple. Those are all core functions of the game. But what a lot of people miss is how to masterwork, why we temper the way we do, and when you should actually do your enchanting, because there is a proper time. Let's say that you find a weapon right here and you need a polearm. The very first thing that you do, I don't need overpower damage. So I know that I'm going to re-roll that. I want to roll something like critical strike damage, or damage while berserking, or a damage to close. The first thing that I don't want to do is run straight over to the enchanter, and then start enchanting, and then try and get the ones that I want to see. The reason that you do that is if we don't hit our tempers first, then we just spend a whole lot of resources and a whole lot of gold to get something that we're going to have to salvage anyway. So the very first step that you're going to want to do in this process is that you're going to want to come to the blacksmith, and we're going to start the tempering process. Now, what tempering is this little tab up here. This little tab is going to unlock at level 10. You can actually start tempering right away. As soon as you start salvaging yellow gear, you can start putting tempers on. You're going to have to make sure that you salvage your gear right from the very beginning of the game. Don't start selling for gold. Even if you feel like you need gold, make sure you salvage all your gear. I promise you, later on in the end game, you will absolutely thank your former self for salvaging all the gear. You're going to need the materials later on. So once this is unlocked, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to either look at a build guide, because that's going to be super important if you're brand new to the game, or you can experiment with it a little bit if you want. But there's a lot of reasons why you should at least look at a build guide. You don't have to play the build. You can run exactly what you want to run. But it's really great to see what someone else is running, how people are running it, why they're running it. Look at the top builds. They're running top builds for a reason, so maybe those tempers are going to be something that you want to try and fit into your build. If you've never seen a build guide before, this is what they're going to look like. I'm the official barbarian writer for Mobalytics here, so all of my builds are going to be here. We're going to have some of the most fun barbarian builds out there. So when you go to a build guide, you can click on the build guide here. And in the gear stat section, it's actually going to show you all of the stats that you're going to want to put on your gear, including tempering. Now, as you can see here, there's some orange on the gear. That orange is actually where you want to try and get your masterworking crits. And when we get to the masterworking section of the video, we'll talk a lot more about what a crit is, how we get it, and then all of the RNG that's going to go into this. However, you want to look at what tempers were put on where. They're all going to make a pretty big difference, and they're all put there for a very specific reason. Let's look at the weapons, for example, because that's what we're going to be doing. We're going to be looking at this weapon here, and I'm following the build guide. I know that I want damage to close and heavy hitter. There's a lot of really good reasons for that. So when we come back into the game, how do we start the tempering process? If you look at this piece of gear, we have 1 greater affix on it. That's right here. If you look at the very bottom here, we have 6 chances to temper. Now that 6 chances actually ends up being 8 chances, and we'll show you why that is. When you put the item into the slot over here, we now have something that's going to highlight here. Each weapon or each piece of gear can only have 2 tempers except for your amulet. Your amulet has 5 of them. The only one that it will not have is going to be the weapon slot here. So all of the other ones can go onto your amulet, which gives it a really great diversity in how you're going to make your build come alive. When we first look at these here, the very first temper is always free. Now I know that I'm going to want to get my heavy hitter. So heavy hitter is going to be here on the Vehemence Brawler. I'm going to select this. The very first temper on the bottom here, it gives me all of the materials costs along here. We're going to temper. We have a chance, a 1 in 3 chance to make sure that we get the one that we want. Now that 1 in 3 chance also has a chance to roll either a 2 or a 4. The 4 is obviously the best choice for us. So we're going to hit the accept button, and now we're going to wait. There is a skip button down here if you want. If the animation is exciting for you because you don't know what you're going to get, you can leave it there. Now we missed. We didn't get heavy hitter. So we're going to close the menu, and then I'm going to go to offense. Now, this one right here, I know that I'm looking for my damage to close. So I'm going to find this. Damage to close is now actually a 1 in 4 chance. with a very big range. Now, when you get your damage close, it's going to be up to you. If you roll a low number, do you want to gamble and then try and get a better number? So we're going to select this, and then we're going to temper again. I'm going to skip the animation this time. Now, we got damage to crowd control enemies. So far, I haven't gotten a single thing that I wanted. What we're going to do now is we're going to just continue to roll. You can see your chances down here. Each one of them is going to consume 1 try. So we roll again. This is going to give me straight damage. Not a bad choice, not the best choice. But first, we're going to roll this one again. We're going to go back to Vehement Brawler. We're going to roll again. Now, you can go straight through, and you can try and do exactly what you want and get all of the rolls that you want. So we're still rolling here, and now we got Heavy Hitter. Super exciting. We got a great roll on it. Now, we have to hope that we get the damage to close. So we go back, we select the damage to close, and we're going to keep on rolling. Now, we did not get it again. We only have 2 tries left. If we don't get this damage to close, what we can do, and I'll show you exactly what happened because I didn't get it. If you run the Infernal Hordes or you run the Dark Citadel, if you have the expansion pack, you can come right over here and you can close this menu down and you can go over to your consumables tab. These are Scrolls of Restoration. This is a lifesaver. This is a one-time use. What it does, it's going to restore your chances on whatever item has 0 tempers left. If they have tempers left, it will not pop up for you. So if it has 0 tempers, you can use the Scroll of Restoration. I now have 6 more chances. If you're doing something like an amulet and you have used the Scroll of Temper, you can only re-roll the current ones that you have selected. You can't go back into any of the other ones. You can only use the ones that you've tried to do. So now when we go back in, I now have a fresh set of 6 that I can try and get this damage to close enemies on. So you continue to roll and really, really hope the very first try we get one with a really great roll. 107. This is a really awesome piece of item now and was saved by going to the Infernal Hordes, and make sure you open up the equipment cache. It's at the very end. It only costs 200 ether. That one is guaranteed to drop 2 of your restoration scrolls. Very important, or else my gear would have been bricked and I would have had to find another one. So now we have successfully tempered. What do we do next? We go and enchant. Why do we enchant after we've done the tempers? Because we don't want to spend, if I didn't have that scroll, I would have put this here, I would have selected my overpower, I would have used these material costs, which is not a super ton, but as you can see, every single time that you re-roll, it's going to go up in cost. This is going to bind this to ourselves, so we cannot trade this anymore now that we've done this. We're going to hit accept. Now, I didn't get either of the ones that I wanted, no change. We're going to replace the affix with no change. My gold cost has now doubled. I'm going to re-roll again. So now, I didn't get the ones that I wanted either. I close this down, my gold cost is going up by a lot. If I had done this before I had tempered, and then I bricked the item, I didn't get the tempers that I wanted, which is what people refer to as bricking, I would have started spending gold on something that I didn't need. So now I got my critical strike damage, but I did spend close to 1 million gold on that. Some cases, especially on things like amulets, you're going to probably spend 10, 20, 30, 40, somewhere upwards of sometimes 250, 500 million gold, depending on the one that you want to roll. If you're wondering exactly how to tell what you can roll on each piece of gear, you just come right over here. You're going to click this little button. This will give you all of the possible stats that you can roll. This will help you in your journey trying to figure out exactly what you want to roll and if you can get it there. Sometimes if you have a certain stat on your gear already, you won't be able to roll the one that you thought you would be able to. So you make sure you use this little button right over here in the corner. That will show you exactly how you need to do it. So make sure that the very first thing you do is you go and you temper. Then you come back over here, you re-roll, and now we have to start the masterworking process. The masterworking process can be a little tricky. We're going to talk about the strategies in order to get your first character set up. Now, this first tip that I have about masterworking, there are a lot of people that have been playing this game since masterworking came out. They don't follow this, and when I tell them about it, they're absolutely shocked, and they immediately go and change the way that they masterwork. What we're going to be talking about is going straight to level 12. Why would you want to go straight to level 12 on a piece of gear that you don't need? Masterworking is going to be here in the corner. What I mean by 12, masterworking is going to be the way that you upgrade your gear. If you look on all of my pieces of gear, at the very top right here, it says Masterworking 12 out of 12. Before you can start Masterworking at all, you're going to have to make sure you have both tempers done. The option will not be available only on the legendary gear. If it's a unique piece of gear, you can Masterwork right away. but the legendary gear has to have the 2 tempers. When you go to masterwork something, it starts from level 0. If you look right here, you're rank 1. Every single time that you increase your ranks, you're going to gain 5% bonus to stats. Now let's think about that for a second. If we rank up all of our gear, every single piece of gear, to rank 1, we have gained a 5% increase in damage and survivability. And it gets even better every 4, 8, and 12, but we'll get there in a second. If we go from rank 1 to rank 12 without having to worry about putting anything anywhere, doing anything fancy, we're going to immediately give ourselves, at minimum, 45% increase to all of our stats. Think about that in terms of progressing through the game, getting from Torment 1 to Torment 4. If you're sitting on Opticite and you decide to wait, then you're not going to get all of that extra power that you could have just by masterworking your gear. Now, obviously, the next question is going to be, well, if I'm just masterworking my gear on stuff that I'm going to replace already, then what is the point? I'm just wasting materials. The great news is that you get 100% of the materials back as long as you salvage that piece of gear. If you sell it, it's gone. But if you salvage it, you get all of the masterworking materials back, and you can put them into the new weapon that you found. If you don't do that, and you don't go straight to 12, you're now hindering your ability to farm Opticite faster. Opticite is what you're going to be using to masterwork. This is Opticite down here. A really, really fun tip is if you go into your stats, you want to know where to farm materials. Every single one of the materials now tells you where to go, where they drop from, where they can be farmed. So we go down to Opticite, because that's what we're going to need for masterworking, Nightmare Dungeons, the Infernal Horde, or the Undercity of Karas. Those are all of the places that you can go to get your masterworking materials. This was a really great quality of life change that was implemented by Blizzard in order for people to just see exactly where everything comes from. This includes boss mats, anything out there that you want to farm, you can find out where it comes from. Now, back to the masterworking. We're currently at level 1. We're going to upgrade. Every single rank is going to be an increase of 5% until you get to rank 4. This is going to randomly select one affix. That one affix will get a 25% increase. That is actually very significant. It does mean that all of the other stats don't get increased, but that one stat that you put that one masterworking crit, where the 25% goes, is the masterworking crit. Wherever you put that one crit into can literally take your character from 0 to hero. It is incredibly important that those masterworking crits land in the right place. Masterworking crits landing in the right place are going to come after you get all of your gear to 12. You're able to farm all the content very quickly. You can get all the Opticite that you need. So go to 12 first, and then you're going to work on your masterworking crits. How this is going to work is that if you look at my gear, right now, all of them, except for the greater affix, are just gray. We're going to hit this button here, and now we're going to re-roll. What I'm actually aiming for is heavy hitter. Now, how do I know that? Is because I look at my planner here, and I know that I want to get heavy hitter on my gear. So I go back into the game, I've gotten heavy hitter. Super exciting. What that means is that now I have an extra 25% into this. Heavy hitter is some massive increases to my damage. It is the most important stat in this piece of gear, and as long as I get my masterworking into this, my character is going to fly through the roof. So now we're going to close this, and we're going to keep on rolling. We're going to go up to the next rank. We're now at rank 7. We go to rank 8, we see another 25% increase. We're going to re-roll again. We're going to skip the animation, and now we get another one into heavy hitter. That is incredibly great because we want to get as many as we can into heavy hitter. Now, this is really completely random, so having the 2 roll right away, absolutely awesome. So we're going to close this again. Now is where it starts to get really expensive. You look at the costs here. We're now at 450 Opticite. We're at 1,000,000 gold, and now every click, we gain more and more and more. Opticite and gold get to be a very expensive commodity when you're masterworking. This is why it's very important that you definitely are salvaging all of your gear. If you look at the Veiled Crystal cost, this is incredibly expensive, and it's going to get even more expensive the more that you try and get your masterworking crits into the right spot. So make sure you're salvaging everything that you have. Uniques are the best way to get Veiled Crystals, so farming bosses in the endgame are going to give you the most out of them. But let's do this last 3,000,000 gold and 2,250 Opticite here. This is our final increase. If this lands exactly on the heavy hitter, it's going to be the best roll I could possibly get. But it didn't land there. Now what do? I saw in my planner that it was orange. If I had landed that last masterworking crit, it would have ended up orange. I wouldn't have had a blue. Blue is 1, yellow is 2, orange is 3. So now I'm bummed because I didn't get the ones that I wanted. I have all my gear at 12 already. I already have a pole arms on. It has the exact same stats. If I had gotten that one, that would have been amazing. I would have been able to have the piece of gear that I wanted. Now, I have this little button right here. When you're on a controller, it looks a little different. If I go to my controller, if you look down here on the bottom, this is where it says reset your masterworking ranks. It doesn't show up here where it shows up on the PC. So make sure that depending on which you're running, you're going to use the two different buttons. Now here is the kicker. When we click this button, it is going to cost us 5 million gold. It's going to actually cost us materials, and we're going to lose 100% of the masterworking materials that we put into this piece of gear. Now, if this was something we were going to be replacing and you salvage it, you get back all of those materials. So you don't have to worry about that. But when we have a piece of gear that we want to masterwork, that's where you're going to end up needing all of those materials and as much gold as you possibly can. When you confirm this and you reset it, now we go right back down to rank 1 and we start back over with the process. How can putting masterworking crits into one specific stat make or break your build? Well, let me show you exactly how. Right now, I currently have 30 ranks in my skill tree to heavy hitter. Now, heavy hitter is down at the bottom here for the barbarians. This is going to give me 450% increase to my ultimate damage, my earthquake damage. Now, the Call of the Ancients is going to summon an earthquake. I have just increased my earthquake damage by 450%, and that's a multiplicative number. That's really big. I also increased the ultimate damage by 450%, but that ultimate is now casting my earthquake, which is now increased by another 450% times another 450% for the earthquake. Now, if I was to roll into something like damage to close or critical strike damage, I wouldn't even get close to the amount of damage that if I put all of my points into that masterworking crit and took it to orange, which was legendary, then I would miss out on all of that huge damage. You saw what I was running in the boss fight in the very beginning of this. The only thing that I had taken off there was I took off my polearms and I replaced it with this one here, and I took off one of my weapons. That means that I went down to 19 ranks instead of 30, and you saw how much of a difference just those 11 ranks made. Aspects obviously play a big part in that, but those ranks were super important, and that's all coming from your masterworking. So when you're looking at putting a build together and you're following a planner or you're building your own builds, there are very specific ways that your masterworking is going to give you that increase to your damage, to your survivability, whatever it's going to be. If you don't have those specific stats or you don't have all that specific information on where to put the masterworking crits, that is why your builds are not performing like you see on the screen. As soon as you make those changes, your build is going to fly way past where mine is. If farming Obdicite and materials is something that is a little challenging for you with the point that your character is at in the game, a really great solution for you is to hop into Discord with us. The link to the Discord will be in the description of this video. Sometimes we have 10, 15, 20 people all online in the voice channel alone, just hanging out, running things. Everybody's very willing to help. They're super inviting. They're very friendly, whether you're a new player or whether you've been playing the game like me since the launch. There's going to be some content in there for you, and we would absolutely love to have you in the Discord server. If you found this video helpful, make sure you share it with your friends. Let's get this masterworking knowledge out there for everyone. Thank you everybody for watching. I'm live every night. I'd love it if you stopped by, said hi, theory crafted with me. Catch you on the clip side.